any, do you have any housekeeping you want to go through at all yet,
Yeah.
or jump right in here? Okay.
Yeah. No, let me just go through a few housekeeping items. Welcome, everyone, for our talent acquisition insights and trends sessions. And before I hand it over to our speakers, Jamie and Andrew, I just want to touch on a few items. So, as I mentioned, we are recording the session. I will go ahead and share out that recording. So, if there's any slides you want to go back to or any parts you want to rewatch, you can definitely do that. Please stay muted throughout the session. It does help with some of the sound quality, but we will have time for Q&A at the end, at which point, you are welcome to add questions in the chat throughout. I'll be monitoring the chat. And then you are welcome to add those questions at the end in the chat or use the raise hand feature like up at the top of the bar to come off mute and ask your questions. So that was really just my little spiel. So welcome, Jamie and Andrew. I'm going to hand it over to you both.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate and noticing a lot of you are from all over the state, so that is fantastic to see. Couple things we're going to go through today, and thank you all for joining in the sense that I know this is probably not a requirement and it's a desire to be here. So that's very exciting to hear. People want to hear me talk other than, my husband says, are you kidding? But so what we're going to go through today is a little bit about myself, my favorite topic. You're going to hear me go through my journey, my history, kind of the experiences I have been through, because I myself am a WGU grad, which is exciting to see everyone on the line. And then, of course, as TA representatives, talent acquisition, Andrew, being my direct leader, would not be thrilled if we didn't put a plug in about Kimball International. So I want to teach y'all what Kimball International does, what we offer, what a day in the life kind of looks like in the hiring process for our facilities. And then lastly, of course, probably the meat and potatoes of why y'all are here is what are those tips that we're seeing? What are the resumes that stand out over others? What are the trends and the platforms that we use to be successful in our recruiting process? So hopefully you will take at least one thing away today from the conversation. So let's just jump right in. So obviously myself, Jaime Dilger, I am in talent acquisition, or TA as I'm going to refer to it throughout the entire day today here. And I am the operations program manager. Not something that you hear every day, not a very average title. It's kind of one of the newer ones to the market. Really what that boils down to is I run a lot of, and I'm going to kind of flip to the next slide here. So I've been in the business for well over 20 years. Yes, I did start when I was 5. I'm so young. And what I have seen throughout my 20 plus years of experience, right, is learning what your niche is and owning it, right? Leaning into that. I've spent a lot of time in operations excellence. My kind of core true love and passion is in the operations and execution realm. But all that to say is it has really leaned me into what I'm doing today, which is that operations program manager. Now, as an operations program manager, I help facilitate, lead, create, just overall coordination of those strategic programs, of being things like new hire orientation, onboarding. It's not just recruitment, right? It's all the things that funnel talent into that bucket for Kimball International. And so we have an employee program that I own and operate. We have an audit process because we are a federal contractor. If anyone ever works for the government, you know that there are contracts, there are guidelines that you have to really abide by. And so Andrew and myself, we own the hiring process here for Kimball International. So we make sure that it runs smoothly. It's continuously, sustained and maintained and improved. And we audit to it to make sure that we're doing all the things that we're supposed to be doing. At the end of the day, we hire based on qualifications. And so we want to make sure that comes through in our hiring process. We also own academic partnerships, so such as yourselves, right? Those outreaches. We touch base as early as probably 6th grade up to through the university college student of who we are, what we offer. We have internships. We do a lot of hands-on training in classes, anything to make you understand what we offer and that there's a place for you here. That's kind of what Andrew and I work towards. So just a quick rundown. If y'all, here's the resume version of Jaime Dilger, right? My entire life, we have owned companies and we've been business owners personally and through my family when I was small. But the way my mindset works, right, is kind of where I started fresh out of college, Master Brand Cabinets, or if any of you are aware of that company, largest manufacturer of cabinets in North America. Spent about almost 14 years there, and we'll get more into this a little bit later. Anything from claims administration all the way down to that continuous improvement project piece. So where range, how I got in logistics, honestly, y'all, I was fresh out of college, needed a job, and I applied, right? Didn't know anything about logistics until I saw it on the internet and applied for it. And realistically, it is everything that has to do with getting your product from here to there. And so morphed into, and I'll talk more about this too, right? Kimball International. I've been here almost 6 years. I did initially go to the University of Southern Indiana, USI, for any of those of you that are familiar to the Jasper, Indiana. It is in Evansville, Indiana, local region. Got an associate's in business, and I quite honestly was someone who didn't really know what I wanted to do after I got to college. And so led to me getting out early, right? And also have the bachelor's in business management. And so, how did I get there? You're probably wondering, right? We all have our own path that seems to take us wherever it's going to take us. Full transparency here, right? I used to be a very black and white person. You spend this much time in your career, you learn that that's ridiculous and life's going to do what life's going to do. So growing up owning these companies, my father was very heavily, he was an electrician, and I spent my summers roughing in houses, running wire, gophering, hooking up electrical panels, you name it, I did it, which sounds absolutely crazy. But it was just, common standard, you were going to work with dad today. So neat experience. That's how I got exposed to the manufacturing realm. Kind of learning, do I want to do something hands-on or do I want to get into the office environment? And so when I decided as a high schooler, what is it that I'm going to do in life? I thought, you know what? I really like PE. Random. Decided to go to USI for PE education. And I unluckily had a knee injury right before my senior year of high school and threw a wrench in everything. And so when I got to college, that was not going to work for me. And loved art, right? Very creative person, very passionate about that. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to be an art teacher. And telling people I work with now that story, it's one of those like, oh yeah, I could see that, but they would never know that about me. And so spent time doing art. And of course, with any hobby, the more that you spend doing it, I got a little burnt out and decided, oh, this is killing my hobby. I can't do this. This is something that I love and I don't want to lose it. So I decided to be undecided, went undecided officially for a little bit. And I also owned a landscaping company at that point, junior, senior high school through college, bagged mulch all by hand, very manual. I had 2 senior friends that worked for me, ran the payroll, supervised, did the work, you name it, I did it. And I decided, you know what? Obviously, business is in the blood, entrepreneurship is in the blood. I'm going to go for business. I am one of the most impatient people you will ever meet, which can be a good trait or a bad trait. I run 100 miles an hour and decided, you know what? I have all my classes. I've been doing this for a while. I really just want to hit the ground running. And so that's why I decided, you know what, I'm just going to get my associates right now. Maybe have some time to digest of what does a career for me look like. And so graduated and again, got the start in logistics. And for me, that was, listen, I have something to prove. I'm going to go say yes to every job that comes my way, every task that comes my way, so that I can prove myself, right? Make a name for myself. Because I grew up in the era that, titles and responsibilities, that all, woohoo, it matters, right? Well, it doesn't. I'm going to tell you it doesn't. Showing up every day, showing your skills, helping one another, that's where you're going to go in life. And so what I did, my boss came to me at that moment and said, hey, you're killing it working freight claims, which legit, folks, is we would ship something, a carrier would damage it along the way, and I had to prove that they damaged it and make them pay for it. As a fresh, young student out of college, going to folks that had been in the business for years, it was very intimidating. I'm going to tell you that. I was so naive. I was so green, but I figured out a way to streamline it and to automate the process. We onboarded a new platform, and it was taking the guesswork out so that you could not deny that you damaged something. And my boss saw the potential. And I'm going to tell you right now, in your careers, it is also plays down to if you showcase your talent, your boss has your back. They're going to find those opportunities for you. And I've been lucky enough to be in that realm. And so honestly, I haven't done a lot of interviewing in my sense of roles come to me, and that's okay, right? It's you have something you need me to do. I'm going to help you, and it's going to lead me to whatever that next opportunity is. So in that, she said, you know what? We have all of these brands. We package the same cabinet 6 different ways. I want you to go standardize that. No clue, right? Young little green person that I was, didn't know what that meant. And so thankfully, unthankfully, I don't know, I married a mechanical engineer. And I said, hey, babe, I really need you to teach me how to do AutoCAD because I hated it in high school. I passed it, but thankfully we had teacher admins that helped me pass it. And I went and found the resources. I asked the questions. I figured it out. And I became a package engineer for 5 years, believe it or not. And that took me to places all over. I went to New York. I went to Indianapolis. I went all over the states testing our products because I became the go-to. I had a mentor that was a true package engineer that taught me everything I knew. And I became the owner for how to pack new product, how to train people how to pack new product, how to create the SOPs or the operating instructions. Was going great, right? I learned things I did not imagine myself learning and decided, the leader we had at the time, vice president, was one of those leaders that thinks you need a degree to make it in life. You could be a rock star player. That didn't matter to him. You needed a degree if you were going anywhere. And so honestly, part of that, and then just deciding, you know what, it was a disappointment for me deciding that, I didn't get a bachelor's right out the gate. And so for me, I wanted to go prove myself that you could do it. Randomly went onto WG's website one day and filled out an application, not expecting absolutely anything. And within probably a week, I was a WGU student. Talk about flying through it. And I cannot say enough good things about WGU. Mentor was phenomenal. And I'm not sure why I decided, though, because I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old at the time. So bless anybody that was in the same exact standpoint, right? Full-time job, husband working weekends, 2 little kids at home. I don't know what I was thinking, but I think it was one of those, you do what you got to do, right? You don't have a choice. You have deadlines you got to meet, and somehow you do all of these things. And 11 months later, because everything transferred in, I graduated with my bachelor's. And while I was going to college, before that happened, my doc at the time, my boss at the time called. I happened to be having my second son. I was in the hospital room. That's where the plot twist comes in. You get a call from your boss. You just had a baby, and they say, hey, by the way, we're taking your boss and we're going to put her somewhere else. We don't know what we're doing with you yet, but we're keeping you. A little bit of emotion, right? A little bit of the unknown, little freak out moment, but they pulled me back into logistics at that point and said, we really want you to go work on the continuous improvement piece for a transportation management system we were running. I came back and operated on caffeine and pure determination and learned a lot about the tech space and moved into transformation, right? Getting into that operational excellence piece. Took me a little bit off of the manufacturing floor, so I didn't get to interact as much. But it was one of those moments that role led me to see, hey, you're actually pretty good at staying organized and paying attention to detail, and you seem to be getting stuff done. Maybe project management is your niche. And that led to, because I was getting the degree at WGU, they said, hey, we're going to take your boss and put them somewhere else. Typical MO of the company I was working for. Structure changes every year. And because you're getting your degree, we're going to put you as a supervisor of that team. We want you to run the show. But it was based on that condition of, hey, because you're getting your degree. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. And that was also a turning point for me to say, that's not fair, right? Your skills, your experience, that's what's driving who you are. It does not come down to a piece of paper. And so I'll talk more about this a little bit later, but we've really opened that up when it comes to hiring folks. We're not looking for degrees necessarily. We're looking for the experience. We're looking for the proof where you have went in and you've made stuff happen, right? We want to see that gumption. So long story short, 14 years into that gig, I'm sure y'all have heard, the better you are, the more they give you. That's what happened. And I just couldn't handle working, 70, 80 hours a week with kids being that young anymore. And you get burnt out real fast, right? Part of it, if you're a perfectionist like myself, is you bring a little bit of that on yourself and you learn, you become very aware of how you act and what pressures that you put on yourself. But it was also, it was just too much, right? You learn what's important. And so took a break. That was right before COVID happened. Took a break. About a month after I took a break, and I didn't have anything lined up, I said, look, I can't do this. I'm quitting. And you learn right quick if they do or don't make you an offer to stay, the kind of company you're working for. I applied to Kimball International. And that was in January, came in for an interview. I was working by February full time. But the career path that I had at Master Brand led me to knowing that I'm highly skilled in project management, right? That's where I tend to shine. Transformation, ops, getting at execution, and honestly leading people to make those tasks happen. So when the project management role here opened, that was the first official title of project management that I had taken. And it was ops excellence, which meant we had just merged all of the subsidiaries for Kimball International and decided we're all going to do the same thing. We're going to have center of excellences, and we want you to work on these cost savings programs, right? And I'm sure you're all aware, boss comes to you and says, hey, we got to save $2 million next year. Go figure out how we're going to do it. I led programs and projects that made sure we got that money in, right? And so value engineering, HR, optimization for the network, warehousing. I kind of touched projects for all of Kimball, and it was fantastic because it made me very quickly understand who the heck is Kimball, what do we do, how things interlay. And if you're like me, I'm super inquisitive. If I don't know something, I go ask somebody. I lean on the experience because turns out mom and dad were right. They did know what they were talking about. And so I use that in my work life. My mentors are all well-tenured folks that know what's going on. But all that to say is I spent about 3 years doing that. And COVID hit, though, right when I took that job. So I got sent home remote. Spent the first probably 2 years of my life as a PM remote. When you don't have your new job coworkers next to you to tell you how to do stuff, you figure out very quickly, or you sink, right? And so it was a very big testament of, you got this, right? But then the Great Resignation happened during COVID, right? Everybody wanted to go remote, and I'm a big fan myself, get it? But it really put a damper on our manufacturing group of filling these roles. And so Andrew, being the fantastic guy that he was, we did a project called Attract and Retain. And it was really legit. How do we make people want to work here? I didn't know anything about HR. Not something that I ever saw myself growing up to work in. And fun fact, talent acquisition is in HR, right? And so what happened was we led this project. It was one of those, it exposed me to situations like this, right? I get to talk to people, I get to give my experience, I get to help coach them find a career path that actually they find joy in. That's pretty cool, right? Everybody wants a purpose at the end of the day and some sort of sense of accomplishment. And that's what that project was doing for me. And so when this role opened, TAOPM, it was you know what? I love the company. I love all of these projects, but you get to be the subject matter expert. You get project members that are not go-getters. They don't meet deadlines. You work with that, right? But that leads you to jump in the weeds and help. And I was doing that so much that it was just a split version of me on 17 different projects versus, getting my true focus. And so moving into the role that I'm in now, I get to be kind of siloed, which I know is usually a bad term, but in this situation it was great because I can focus on TA. I can focus on building the foundation, creating the structure, attracting the talent to TA. And that's what I've done, right? I've led projects, not just for TA, but we call it MCR, which is Member Community Relations. I'm going to call it HR, though, for y'all's satisfaction here. But I've done a lot of projects within the business partner realm, the talent acquisition realm, just every facet of the group now. And so I've really got to experience, what do I like? What do I not like? And when you are in the business this long, it's okay to say you don't like doing something. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you enjoy it. So if you can find that piece that you enjoy, and I know I'm getting very cliche at this point, but it actually does make a difference, right? Grass is always going to be greener, patchy on both sides of the fence. And so you got to find and own what you're good at. That has, since I've been doing this about 3 years now, that has led me to connect with more people than I can possibly imagine, share my story. I'm also one of these lucky people that have a little bit of anxiety. And so if I can plot out what a process looks like, I can visualize it, I can go see that 40,000 foot level of what works and what doesn't work, that helps me, right? Puts me at ease. And so I take that mindset and I give it to everybody else, which has led me to be, you know what? Project management is your jam, Jamie. Let's stay in it. Recently, I was asked to help. So I don't know if y'all are aware, we were acquired by H&I Corporation a couple of years ago. We've had an integration team that has worked to find best practices on both groups. And where we've taken that is we have a lot of integration rollout that has happened. And now the experience that I've had, right, the times that I've said, yeah, let's go make it happen. I'll do whatever you need me to do for the betterment of the company has led me to now a new opportunity, which has started up. We have a integration team that is working with our executive group and our COO organization. And so I am going to start facilitating and program managing all of those work streams that are still coming to standardize between both companies. So a little bit more elevated, a little bit greater audience, right? A little bit more pressure. But again, it's new, right? Although I don't know what I don't know, it's a great opportunity for me to continue to grow and advance. So that was a really short story long about who I am, but I really wanted y'all to see it's okay to not know. And I applaud you guys all for going to WGU. I'm sure you all have full-time jobs. There's a reason you decided to say, yeah, I'm going to go get whatever degree that I'm in right now. And I'm going to try to kill it while also doing my full-time job. Like, it is a massive sacrifice. And it takes a lot. You learn a lot about yourself. So stick with it, whether that path is where you want it to be right now or not. It's a path, right? It's a journey. So all that to say is, if you guys do want to friend me, link me. Is that a thing? Connect with me on LinkedIn. You just want advice. All day, every day, I'm happy to share the things that I have gone through and help you get through what you're going through. So that's my jam, right? I would be doing a disservice if I didn't connect with you on what Kimball International does. So obviously I can't see the chat right now. Does anybody know Kimball International, what we do, what we have done? And yes, going into the chat right now is my LinkedIn and Andrew's LinkedIn information. Props to Andrew Menda. I want to introduce him. He is the Director of Talent Acquisition. He has been in this business a long time. He's actually truly, his niche is recruiting and attracting and that true talent acquisition, which is more than just, hey, go fill out this application. It is placing the talent where it needs to go, identifying what you're strong in, and making sure that we line you up to what you're going to be successful in. So Andrew is along for the ride today. He is going to kind of chime in as I go through these tips and trends. And then if you have questions, he has way more experience than me in recruiting and filling that, right? Again, program project management in the works here. So definitely wanted to give him props and shout outs. He has pulled me into this TA realm, whether I like it or not. And again, you just got to be open to where the life takes y'all. So that being said, Kimball International is a commercial furnishings. In case you didn't pick it up on that beautiful first slide, we make furniture, super glamorous. This is our headquarters here in Jasper, Indiana, where I'm located. We have 11 locations all throughout the Midwest. Most of those are in Jasper. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Santa Claus, Indiana. Holiday World, maybe that'll sound familiar to you. We have a location in Santa Claus. That is where we take all of our product and we disperse it out to we are business to business. So we're not an Amazon. We sell directly to dealers. And we make workplace health and hospitality. What that means is I don't know where y'all are sitting today, where you're calling in from. Bless you if you're sitting in your car eating lunch trying to listen to me go through our spiel today. But workplace is your true office environment. So the chairs you sit in, the conference tables, your desks, everything in a typical office environment, we do that. We're in the health space. Everything in a hospital room, outside of the bed, we produce. So the stool your doctor's rolling around on, the cabinets, right? Everything in a lobby, we do all of that commercial furnishing. Hospitality, exactly what it is, hotel and leisure. So any of you, if you've ever been lucky enough to go travel, stay in a hotel room, we produce the desks, the headboards, the frames, the wardrobe, you name it, we help provide that as well. So kind of a wide range there, but those are the three main sectors that we operate in. Growing up, did I ever think I would be working for an office manufacturer? Certainly did not. But now I am a furniture geek. And anything manufacturing is just really cool to understand how things are made. And you know what? People actually do make this stuff. Beautiful things, right? We've been around, lucky enough, 75 years this year. It's a long time, especially in a very, very rural community that like we live in. Now I'm going to point out in this picture, I don't know if y'all can see it, that's a piano. We made pianos very early on in our career. We purchased a piano company out of Chicago. That's where we got our Kimball International name. And that is the last piano ever produced. It sits in our office, fully functional, gorgeous piano. But obviously we saw a need for furnishings and have evolved. You remember those old TVs, box sets, right? Your TV was in that gorgeous big frame. You had to get up and walk over and turn the channel. We made those. We made media centers. We made 8-tracks, we made record players, right? All since evolved to what the gorgeous stuff that you'll see in a minute. And so I want to share a video with you guys just because I'm a very visual person and I want you to see what we do here. Oh, so sorry, that popped up there.
Kimball International began as a family business in 1950, and we are proud to maintain that entrepreneurial maker spirit today. From custom cabinetry and fine pianos to solutions for workplace, education, health, and hospitality, we are proud to honor our legacy and are excited about what the future holds. We pride ourselves on creating personalized experiences and turning ordinary spaces into meaningful places. Our unique family of brands includes Kimball, National, etc., Interwoven, David Edward, Kimball Hospitality, and D-Style, all of which give us a broad portfolio of contract furniture solutions supporting workplace, education, health, and hospitality environments. Our brands are committed to creating places where people want to be. We make more than just furniture. We help create environments where people feel connected, empowered, and inspired. We create dynamic places for working, learning, healing, and relaxing. As we celebrate 75 years of craftsmanship, we embrace our roots and look forward to the journey ahead. We are proud to create impactful places that build communities, foster connections, and offer a sense of belonging. We put heart into everything we do and continue to challenge ourselves to dare to be makers of possibility.
That's gorgeous stuff, right? Now, I'm going to ask you guys, when you're out and about, hopefully you're not at a doctor's office soon, or maybe you're in a hotel, or maybe you're, come on, page down, maybe you're just in an office. I'm not going to judge if you want to, lean down and turn that chair over and see if we made it. I'm just saying, okay? So, that being said, all right, full transparency. It's a tech day today, and my PowerPoint doesn't want to go forward. So when you're presenting, y'all, just be yourself. Be honest. You just show real life of how tech operates in a presentation. There we go. Perfect. So again, just a little quick visual. We do work. I mean, I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Papa John's, Smith & Wesson, right? Rawlings Baseball. We have been able, we just did Compton High School, Dr. Dre, his high school. We outfitted one of their new centers. It's really cool from a high level, seeing how many lives you touch and you don't realize how many lives you touch, So just wanted to share, like, it is neat, the work that you end up doing. High level, you all are welcome. Again, plug on Kimball International. That is our QR code for our career site. But honestly, we're a typical corporate environment, right? We offer everything that you could possibly think of, from engineering to accounting to graphic design. We have our own team that does our photography, our videoing, our media. We have social media providers. I mean, you name it, we kind of offer it here. And a lot of this, case in point for myself, are roles that were just kind of created because we saw the talent, and we've just created them along the way, right? And so again, there's that black and white thing. Don't pay attention necessarily to a title. You pay attention to the work and how you can contribute. So we do offer a lot of marketing, sales stuff. Obviously, we have this big business segment that we go to market with. But again, H&I Corporation, we are Kimball International has about 2,400 workers. H&I has about 7,200 employees. And guess what? By the way, by the end of the year, we're also acquiring Steelcase, which is twice the size of us put together. Used to be a massive competitor for us. Now we're all under the same umbrella, and will be by 2026 January. Guess what? They have 11,000 employees, right? And so think about that when you're going to get a job. You come work for us, H&I opportunities exist, Steelcase opportunities exist, if you love to travel, if you want to make those connections. So it's more than just Jasper, Indiana, is my point, right? We're a very big company, lucky enough to be in a rural community, and we're making a huge difference in the market. So definitely connect with us if that's something. If y'all are looking for opportunities, we can help you out. Now, you still have to hear me talk. Yay. But I'm going to get to the stuff that y'all are probably really here for, which is, what is a TA's perspective on the whole hiring process, right? I'm sure some of you have been in an interview where you didn't hear anything back. It was crickets. Hopefully not, but you probably did. It happens. Didn't hear anything at all, right? Didn't even get your shot to go interview. I'm going to kind of give you some insights into what we're thinking when we're looking at your resumes, all right? Andrew, feel free to jump in anytime here. First and foremost, what's coming across our desk first? your resume. And 101, everyone, when you are applying on someone's website and it says to upload your resume, make sure it's your resume, okay? Make sure it's not your Christmas wish list, all right? That's my warning label. It happens, right? Attention to detail is the first impression that we are getting from you, from your application and your resume. It makes a big impact, all right? So be clear, to the point. By that, I mean, we don't need a story, right? Hit those highlights, but make sure you're making your point, right? I am not someone, Andrew may differ in this, but I'm not someone who absolutely needs to see a summary or an objective on your resume. I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to pay attention to it. But if you're going to put one, make it compelling, right? Make sure it's at the top. Some of our recruiters do really enjoy seeing your objective, all right? Soft skills and technical skills, all day, every day. Again, what I think is common sense when it comes to a resume, it may not be, and that's totally fine. So I'll make sure you get our perspective, but technical skills. If you're applying for a role that calls for Excel and you have Excel skills and you do not put it on your resume, good chance I'm not going to call you. I'm not going to reach out to you, all right? Soft skills, things like your leadership roles, your collaboration, your project management. I want to see that because I want to know if it's applicable to the role, the preferred skills that my hiring manager is looking for, all right? When we create a job description, we put our requirements in it. Those are our basic quals. We also look for preferred qualifications, right? Which may or may not be on the resume, but that's how we're picking and choosing the qualifications of who has the most experience, who's the most qualified. So whenever possible, add some numbers, right? Put that you led a team of 7,500 people and you killed it. I want to see that. Showcase that you increased sales or you found $5 million cost savings and was able to implement it. Like, that's what's going to get you across the finish line and get you that first call from us. Honest and genuineness, shouldn't really have to coach y'all on this, I don't think, but we are trained professionals. We have a very high social emotional intelligence. We know how to read folks. We know how to read your body language. We know how to interpret your answers to our questions. If you are not being honest, we're going to notice. We're going to pick it up. Believe it or not, right? You may think you're the best salesman in the world, but it's going to come out one way or another. So I cannot stress this enough. Just tell us who you are, right? Resumes, when it comes to flashy, we don't need all that, okay? We don't need a photo. Please, please, please do not put a photo on your resume. I know it looks really cool and amazing, but you're setting us up for some risk as a recruiter because we're now making some unconscious biases, right? You may be a female, you put your picture there. We do not obviously hire based on any of those characteristics, but we also don't want you to open the door for any of that. So if we get a resume with your picture on it, we're taking it off as a recruiter before we get it to the hiring manager. We don't want to share that, all right? Social media, I know, yeah, we could go out, we can look you up on social media, we can kind of peruse. We tell our hiring managers, try not to do that, all right? Now, yeah, you connect with Andrew and I today via LinkedIn. Obviously, we're going to see who you are, and we can go source if your resume is out there, but we can't consider you for a role until you truly apply, okay? Proofread, you'll notice this is the most bolded one on the slide deck. Proofreading needs to be the first thing you do after you create your resume. We see it all day, every day. Grammar mistakes, spelling errors, you haven't put your most recent job, you forgot to update. All, you name it, we have seen it, and we would prefer not to see it. Again, you are interviewing yourself already by applying and putting your resume in. That's that big impression. We want you to pay attention to detail, okay? Especially if it's something, a role like, let's say you're a quote specialist. That's going to be huge for you. And if you can't even spell something right on a resume, it's a red flag. We're not going to stop. By all means, I'm not saying we're immediately throwing you out, but Those are the types of things that we notice. Okay. As a recruiter, let's say I get a resume and you have 6 years of service, Avion. I don't know what Avion is. I may not be, believe it or not, as recruiters, our team, they are not familiar with every single role that we do here. It's not their wheelhouse. So while we're going to try to answer questions for you about the job itself, that's going to be a better conversation with the hiring manager. And again, I don't know what that company does. So for our benefit, I would suggest put a little just quick blurb, right? Kimball International, commercial office furniture, commercial furnishings company. It goes a long way, folks. It's the little things showing that you're coming prepared, right? You're doing your homework and you're making it a little bit quicker, easier for us to review. Love it. Not mandatory, love it. Tailor your resume, pretty straightforward, right? If you're applying for a sales role, I want to be able to read your resume and say, oh, they have sales experience. Make it applicable. Okay. Pull out that, highlight that experience that makes it relatable to that role. If we have a mechanical engineering opening and you are a cashier at Chuck E. Cheese and that's all you put on your resume, I don't know whether you're going to be good or not. So again, just some high level things that, believe it or not, these are the trends that we see. That is basic 101 of how you're writing your resume. All right. We just want to truly know who you are, what you're about, and what you can offer to the company.
You know, Jamie, some of these pro tips, it makes me really think about this overarching concept. And for everybody on the call, again, as Jamie mentioned, I'm our Director of Talent Acquisition at Kimball International. Jamie and I have been closely partnered for a number of years, building this function from the ground up. So we truly have different perspectives of bringing this together to its maturity where it is today. But back to my concept comment is, when you think about resume writing pro tips in summary and taking all these concepts together here, is it takes a social and emotional intelligence of influence to the audience that you are writing to. So whoever's the reader of that resume, for example, the resume is not everything. It's to start, it's to influence, it's to influence the desire of that reader to want to know more. So think about it. Who is that reader on the other side? Is it the hiring manager? Is it the hiring manager's network or tap of network influences that they may tap on to get some advice or interpretation of your resume? So my point is as you're dissecting your resume, as you're formulating, sorry, I can't talk, the words to put into it or the type of experiences to put into it, you want to stay objective. You want to leave that leader or those network of influencers to want more and to speak to you. That's where the conversation turns into reality. It gives you the opportunity as the candidate applying for that job, especially if that conversation is scheduled, to bring the human factor to the table, right? It takes paper and capability and skill set now to the human emotion. The human emotion influences the ability to make that decision to hire, to move you forward in the process. So you have increased influence over those who you're speaking to. And during that time frame, you're gaining both understanding of you as the interviewer, right? Of, is this person a right fit for my job role now and in the future? But you as the interviewee, you're gaining perspective and clarity on whether is this organization, is this team dynamic, is this leadership style the right fit for me? Perfect example, Jamie and I, two completely different realms, meet up in a project. I think I like you. All right, let's put our powers together and let's go do this damn thing. So you guys catch my drift. Stay assertive with tact and diplomacy, but always looking for that opportunity to close, to influence, to make that step forward, to leave people wanting more so you can influence the hiring decisions, the talent, your capability of a talent, not just what you've done and what you're cornered into, if you feel that way. You guys catch where I'm going there?
Yeah. Yeah. And to Andrew's point, We see this all the time. It's not a showstopper, but as a government contractor, in making sure like you want the most objective review. You don't want people making assumptions about who you are, how you act, your personal life. Avoid that as best you can. And by that, I mean, great, you graduated from Western Governors University. Be mindful of putting your year of graduation. We see a lot where you put your college education the year you graduated, your high school education the year you graduated. Guess what? My hiring manager, they're doing the math, okay? Whether we like them to or not, and we train heavily to avoid that. And again, we are not subjectively hiring. We're hiring on who's the most qualified. But as a personal opinion here, don't open the door. Don't even give them a chance, right? Be as kind of somewhat generalized as you can. GPA, right? You're coming out of college. Maybe some of you are graduating soon. We have an internship going on right now where I'm getting resumes galore and they're giving me their GPA. Guess what? You're setting yourself up a little bit for me immediately being like, oh, 4.0, nice. Or, oh, 2.2. That doesn't matter. You may be the most brilliant person in the room, but you're not great at tests, right? There's just different personalities. And I want to make sure you guys are setting yourself up for avoiding and selling yourself the most that you can and highlighting what you do. So that being said, I'm going to kind of skim through this because I want to give you guys time to ask questions today. That's what we're here for. And again, if we don't get to questions, feel free to post them in the chat, connect with us on LinkedIn, ask us directly. We're here for you. Just to give you an idea, when you submit a resume and application, right, it goes through a big, long journey. And I'm going to tell you right now, guess what? This is not our day-to-day job for some of the hiring managers, the panel members, right? They have a business to run. And so when you see something taking forever, right, why are they not contacting me? Guess what? It may be a couple weeks before we reach back out to you because we are gathering talent. We're gathering the schedule and availability to review all of these resumes. So don't take it personally, right? We do have a phone screen, a hiring manager connect, a panel interview, right? That takes time. That takes a lot of coordination to get everybody in a room. And so you will be exposed to multiple people throughout the company. Multiple people are going to see your resume. So again, make a great impression, right? We're trying to streamline as best we can, make it as fast as possible, but reality is reality, everyone. All right. If you get hired in less than 30 days, that's a miracle more often than not. All right.
You know, one pro tip throughout the process, everybody questions or is probably thinking, when am I going to hear back? Question mark. What are they thinking? All those questions that go through our mind. You know, my advice and pro tip here is always leave those initial screenings or those next steps in the process always leave with an expectation. That's okay to ask. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to set expectations, whether it's with the recruiter and or a follow-up question with the hiring manager, if it's that dynamic at that point. So feel free to do that because you'll feel better. You'll feel calm in that kind of time of waiting, essentially. But also, it's a opportunity to self-reflect, right? In the conversations, what you said, how you said it. Maybe you receive some feedback. You guys, it's always changing and shifting and evolving.
Yeah, absolutely. And Wyatt, I did see your comment. Yeah, it realistically, if you're getting rejections years later, that's not good, right? That somebody's dropped the ball. Our process, you guys can probably see, we strive 60 days or less. Now, some of you may be like, what, 2 months? It's reality. It is truly the amount of steps you have to go through, especially as a federal contractor, on top of aligning, you know, sometimes 6 different people who are trying to run the business. It's pie in the sky, 60 days. 60 days is actually pretty good. I'll be transparent. So qualifications matter. We do have a job description. If it says that we require you to have a degree in design, guess what? We will not hire someone that doesn't have a degree in design because we are now being watched, right? The government is making sure that whatever we're putting out there is what we're hiring to. So qualifications matter. If you are applying to things, by all means, keep doing it. But if you're applying to something and you don't meet everything in that job description, but you think, you know what, I'm awesome, they're going to see that through the process, I'm going to hire them. That may not be the case. We have to hire on qualifications. And if you don't meet them, we are really, really struggling to understand and justify why we're hiring you. So if you are applying and you don't get a call back, there's a good reason that's why. All right. So don't get disheartened. Come prepared to an interview. We're going to ask you, what do you know about Kimball International? If you say nothing until this conversation, paints a picture. Okay. Have the interview in a quiet place. We do a lot of virtual. Please, I got kids. I get it. Don't have your kids running around screaming behind you. Don't pull over on the side of the road and try to have a conversation interview with us. It just does not work, and it does not paint a great picture again, right? And you guys can kind of see this. I'm not going to go through every single one, but ultimately what we're asking from you is just show up, be yourself. Tell us what you know, tell us what you've done, and it's going to come through on an interview. All right.
To talk to
Lastly,
what you've done, I think it's important to also understand those qualifications in preferred realms. If you don't have them, how do you paint the picture, whether resume and or through articulation of how do you bridge that gap? Can you paint that picture again in the concept of influence to that hiring manager, the audience, the reader of the resume, and also perhaps a panel or a team of panel members in your interview, on-site interviews, for example, that are going to understand you're capable of pulling those skill sets on or gaps of improvement that you need in order to acquire that job. And or that might be a consideration for a promotional opportunity, a lateral opportunity in a different realm that creates a new challenge for you as a talent.
Yeah. Just kind of wrapping up so we can get you guys some questions here, because I know we're running short on time here. Story of all our lives when we get in these meetings, right? But we use everything we can from a recruiter standpoint. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Indeed, we have local partners that we use. These numbers are where we see our success from our standpoint, right? These aren't national numbers, these are our numbers. Employee referrals, we look for talent that knows talent, right? We have a massive amount that we hire from our internal folks referring friends and family. We do use AI. Obviously, right now, AI is really becoming heavily. We don't use, keywords. It doesn't go scan your resume automatically. We're not paying attention to that. We don't pay attention to whether you created your resume via AI. Again, we're just really looking at who you are, what you've done, and what that means for us. So, kind of streamline through that. But what I really want to just get to is questions, and I'm going to leave this up while we get questions. Feel free to put them in the chat. Take yourself off mute if you want, raise your hand. I'm going to let Andrew and Ezra kind of moderate that. But yeah, and these are our dot cards. If you're all familiar with dot cards, you can open your camera right now and point it towards our QR code and direct with us immediately on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much. I see Danielle, and I apologize, Danielle, raised hand. Feel free to come off mute.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Oh yeah, Jamie, Andrew, thank you for your presentation. Yeah, my question is, since skills matter more than like past degrees or past job titles, is overqualification still a concern? Like, is like maybe having too high of an education like a concern for overqualification? And yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a fantastic question, Daniel. Thank you. So what we train our recruiters is we are all our own unique people, our own mindset. You may get a resume that seems like it is leaps and bounds above. Let's say you have a doctorate and you're applying for an entry level. I cannot determine whether you have applied, you have understood the role. Maybe you're looking to downgrade. I can't justify saying you're overqualified because you're the one that has applied for the role. And so the way that we work around that is if you want to make sure that you're not just skimmed over for being overqualified, use an objective statement. This is my opinion, and Andrew may be different here, but put it in the objective, what you're looking for, why you're looking for a new job, why you've left a previous job, because we're going to ask you anyway, right? Be transparent and tell us, you know what? I've determined that I don't like leadership and I want to go do whatever the case may be. But make sure you're putting something in your objective that identifies to us why you're applying for a role. And I think that's going to help get over that hump of, that stereotype of being overqualified. But as recruiters, we be very cognizant of, don't just toss someone aside because they're overqualified in our eyes. That is not our decision to make, right?
Exactly. There's a number of, at least from a Kimball perspective, we call them hiring manager intakes. So there's the concept of hiring manager intake and profile accuracy versus direct answer to your question is, yes, a bias could lead to overqualification, but that is not should not be the case. An appropriate action as a hiring manager, as any recruiter or HR professional in those front lines as well, is you cannot determine the reasoning that that person, you as the candidate, of why you did or did not apply to an opportunity. So there's always a backstory, is my point, back to Jamie's point. And you don't understand that until you've met or have seen that articulated and or you've drawn that out or fleshed that out in conversation. Because your higher degree, for example, let's just say a doctorate or a PhD, might lead to increased salary expectations. That means you've counted yourself out of a talent pool because what is affordable to the company, for example, from a financial standpoint, it has made you overqualified, right? So there's got to be a formula or a recipe of success there that meets the candidate expectations, balanced out with the company expectations as well.
Yeah, very valid.
Great
Good
question.
All right. Now, okay, we are at time. I apologize. I know there are two other questions in the chat, but I also want to be respectful of time. So I don't know, Jamie, do you want to take the two questions or do you prefer they email you?
No, that's okay. We can go ahead and take these two questions, and then by all means, if you guys want to reach out to us, email us, we can circle back. Or even if you guys want to work on your resume and say, hey, Jamie or Andrew, can you look at this and give me some tips? Go for it. We will absolutely share our tips. So when someone joins Kimball, what factors most often determine whether they grow into leadership or stay in an entry mid-level role? Andrew, do you want to take that from a leadership perspective?
Sure. So from a structural standpoint, we do have a talent review process, and there's what that consists of is we go through the entire organization. It's being standardized through all of our brands as H&I organization. So Kimball, H&I, and Steelcase, as Jamie mentioned. And what that really is a dissection of talent, of your previous and past experiences, performances, how you performances, but also continuous improvement efforts, which leads to a grade out and leadership team and beyond. There's a dissection of that talent with the navigation of opportunity. Where are there opportunities within the business to navigate through? So that's that answer. The other side of that is, I think genuinely, you need to be practicing your craft as a leader and coming into this organization just as not non-leadership role, as a person and professional in general. And my point of saying that is as you do that, that's going to enter to those skill sets, into those competencies, to your individual contributor roles. And then as you promote within or gain different experiences within the organization. So a lot of the times what we're looking at from a Kimball standpoint, we have a spirit of change and transformation. So the curiosity, the ability to navigate through gray area and transformation, to bring some reasoning and logic and answers and direction to people, to cross-functional groups, to those around you. Somebody that is not black and white, somebody that is able to get into, Jamie's mentioned, there's challenging opportunities where you may not know everything, but you're able to adapt and inquire and navigate and readapt to those situations around you. So being a chameleon for the business, that typically leads to increased opportunity, responsibility, and influence, which sometimes is formally noted as leaders. But I will say, not every person or worker that works hard is a good leader. I will say that because it's true. It takes the ability to connect, understand, take the time to balance your people with performance and those expectations.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
just to wrap up here, and we'll call it a day. I did see a question about going from owning your own company, entering the workplace. Obviously, how do you approach or handle someone who was self-employed? We see it all the time, especially in the marketing world, right? We get a lot of consultants. What I would tell you is some struggle, some succeed. It comes down to having an open mind. You may be someone like me who's extremely structured and has, right, the best process in sliced bread, coming into an organization that maybe is not to that caliber. It's just a fact, right? Or the opposite, you may be someone who is used to being more laid back, a little bit less rigid, and you come into the corporate world where it is process driven and very structured. And I think you have to go into a role with that mindset, being aware that you're going to have to adjust. It's not going to be exactly as it is as owning your own company, right? Corporate world is exactly somewhat sort of the stereotype of a corporate world, right? You got to show up on time. You got to work the hours. You got to do everything that's involved in the requirements and responsibility of your role, right? It's not a pick and choose of what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. It's you have responsibilities and tasks to get done. So it is a mindset shift change, but we hire people all the time that have been self-employed. And you know what? They say, you know what? I really want the stability of corporate. I want a steady paycheck. I want a team. I want to get into the corporate world. And it tends to be a really good transition. So it doesn't come without its hardships, but it works. So I appreciate that
Agreed.
question.
It's truly give and take. Yeah.
Yeah. So all that to say is I leave you with this. Keep rocking it. Y'all are killing it, especially sacrificing your time to go back to school, or if this is your first round of school. My mentor at WGU, I literally say this every day. This is how I learned this saying from: short-term sacrifice, long-term benefit. It is not a permanent situation. You're going to get through. You're going to survive. You're going to get your degree, and you're going to climb that ladder. You're going to get the job that you want. Just be patient, right? So I appreciate y'all. Thank you for having me. Reach out, connect with us. We are happy to continue to advise. And if we have an opening you're interested in, please check us out.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both so much for your time today, for all of this fantastic information. Really appreciate your insight, look, and, also mentioning like the unconscious bias that happens and all of these, right? Real life things, life happens, things change, right? And kind of going with that flow too. So thank you both so much for today. As I mentioned, the session was recorded, so we will send that out to everyone afterwards, as well as the links and resources I shared in the chat. But you guys have a fantastic, what I call Friday Junior, and enjoy your weekend. So thank you again, Jamie and Andrew.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Anytime. Thank you guys.